Yes, thanks very much, Roger. I think that what we've done in this learning community is just ask the question last time, what are the sort of things that we need to be considering within our own cities and towns? And one of the things that was mentioned last time was, it's all very well talking about having a sort of engagement vehicle, but what about the delivery framework? So that's the phrase that I want us to sort of think about just for the next few minutes. If we're talking about movement for recovery in our city, what should the delivery framework look like? There is a sort of number of bullet points that I want to make here for that section. I want us to just remember that actually all that we're doing here is making sure that once the engagement vehicle, Movement for Recovery, has worked out some of the opportunities, has maybe heard about some of the commissions that are possible, it's not likely that that engagement vehicle would actually be the delivery framework. It's much more likely that because we're thinking about a network of networks, that we'd be subbing the delivery to a whole series of other networks within our city or region. It's not likely that we would have a central delivery mechanism from within the engagement vehicle. Much more important for that engagement vehicle to hold the intelligence, perhaps, of where the networks are currently working, the sort of things that they're doing, and where they might be able to meet some of the commission requirements, some of the funding opportunities that maybe would be coming our way from either the local authority or from central government. So let's just work out what we are as Movement for Recovery. We're the engagement vehicle and the sort of holder of intelligence, but we need to actually be able to have some delivery frameworks that come from us, which are really the networks that we've got already in place within the city or within the town. Very similar to what Peter's just said to us from Bath. Because those networks are both geographical and also thematic. There'll be bits of our city, bits of our town, bits of our region, which will have specific needs. And so it's really important that we build part of the framework to actually cover those needs, to have a theme, if you like, to what we're about, and work out within the engagement vehicle who is actually doing what in relation to that theme. So it might be food poverty, it might be well-being, it might be debt advice, it might be employment opportunities that are being created. So whatever it is that sort of that network, to be sure that that is then being fitted into the engagement vehicle, so that we can then suggest that that network would receive a commission for the work that they do already in the city. But it's probable that we'd also have to have some geographical networks as well within this framework, so that we'd actually know. I mean, this is very much true for us in Greater Manchester, because we're working across 10 boroughs. We can't do everything on a central basis as GM. We have to think about what does this look like in the geographical network of one of our boroughs. So the delivery framework has to really fit this whole concept of a network of networks, geographical and thematic. The engagement vehicle, Movement for Recovery, needs to hold the intelligence of all of that. So you've got the intelligence of the opportunities and the commissions, but you've also got the intelligence of what the churches are currently doing in the localities, in the geographical places, but also what themes they are being able to produce. So it seems to us that we have to make sure that the framework is lightweight. It doesn't have its own sort of particular structure, but it has no sense that it will be doing the delivery itself, but it will be relying upon the intelligence from those particular networks, whether they're geographical or thematic. And this is the critical point. This is, I suppose, where it gets a bit tricky for us as a community here, as Movement for Recovery, is that there's not one framework that we should be producing here. Because every city, every region, every town will be having to do it different. But maybe the principle that we should have is this phrase right in the middle of this bullet point: a network of networks, and holding that intelligence of where those networks are working geographically and where they're working thematically. It does, and I suppose in a sense that's just showing that the movement for recovery bit is the intelligence gathering, both of the opportunities and the potential commissions, but then sets away a particular network to do one of those themes, but is open then to have a much broader framework of other things that could be done by this network. So always to have in our mind the geographical network and really build that up, as Debbie was saying about Sunderland just earlier, that you're really building up an understanding of what all of the churches are doing. But actually then we then say, right, in the themes, what is the framework for those themes being delivered? And it may be that a city actually says we're only going to do 2 themes. Those are the 2 things that we believe in our network of networks. We have the geographical network, but we also have these 2 things that are being done by most of the people in the network. That's what we're going to be offering into our discussions with local authority and central government. You might be working across 10 themes, so you have to rely upon some much more structured networks in those themes too. It becomes quite a complicated thing, but I think actually being able to see that the actual engagement vehicle, movement for recovery, is not doing the delivery. It's being done by the other networks geographically and thematically. There's probably some questions that arise from that sort of thesis. And so if there anybody would like to comment on how you're finding that being done and your delivery framework, that would be really helpful, because we can share learning together.